Hello, good afternoon. It's Windy News coming to you live from the News Hub here at the University of Education, Winneba. Now coming up, President Mahama confirms no deputy ministers for certain ministries to maintain lean government. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu calls for audit for free SHS beneficiary records. University of Education, Winneba welcomes first student with orientation program. And in Business, Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajari calls for bold steps to attract international investors. On the foreign arena, U.S. President Donald Trump urges Putin to end ridiculous war in Ukraine or face new sanctions. We have details of all these stories and many more coming up in the bulletin. My name is Nana Amma Nyamike Baini. Now the news in detail. President John Dramani Mahama has announced his decision to forego appointing deputy ministers for certain ministries as part of his commitment to maintaining a 60-member cabinet in line with his election campaign promise. He explains that this decision is aimed at creating a lean and efficient government, reflecting his dedication to resource efficiency and good governance principles. According to the president, the absence of deputy ministers in selected ministries will not compromise the effectiveness of his administration, but will instead enhance the government's overall performance by streamlining its structure. This announcement was made during the swearing-in ceremony of 6 newly appointed ministers on Wednesday, January 22, at the Jubilee House in Accra.
I therefore charge you to serve in humility and candor, always remembering that we serve at the pleasure of the Ghanaian people and that the authority we exercise emanates from them. We must exhibit tolerance for their views and work to meet their aspirations. This government will not tolerate arrogance or disrespect for the people who elected us into office.
Now, in a related development, President John Dramani Mahama has urged his appointees to treat Ghanaians with humility, tolerance, and respect. The president reaffirmed his inaugural address remarks after the swearing-in of 6 newly appointed ministers at the Jubilee House on Wednesday, January 22, emphasizing that his administration has an obligation to live up to the high standards set by the people who gave them the power. He emphasized the growing public discontent with those that show arrogance or ignorant public concerns. He exhorted his appointees to embrace a style of governance that put the goals and well-being of the populace first.
I therefore charge you to serve in humility and candor, always remembering that we serve at the pleasure of the Ghanaian people and that the authority we exercise emanates from them. We must exhibit tolerance for their views and work to meet their aspirations. This government will not tolerate arrogance or disrespect for the people who elected us into office.
Now, away from that particular story, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu has called for a thorough validation of the data pertaining to the free senior high school program. Speaking on Wednesday, January 22, 2025, his first visit to the ministry after being sworn in by President John Dramani Mahama, Mr. Idrisu emphasized the significance of precise data in guiding policy, deliberations, and carrying out changes. Citing his research, which places the number of recipients at 3.9 million, he drew attention to disparities between published data, parliamentary and public records, which put that number at 5.1 million. Now to our next story, the University of Education, Winneba, is conducting an orientation program for its newly admitted undergraduate and postgraduate students. The event is taking place at the Jofos and Amwa Mensa Conference Center on North Campus for undergraduate and at the School of Creative Art on the Central Campus for postgraduate. The orientation programs aims to provide students with essential information about the university's policies, procedures, and academic expectations, helping them transition smoothly into the university life. Windy News engaged some freshers to hear their thoughts on the program.
So, I just realized you edited the just ended section for the orientation. Can you tell me what you learned, what they said that you think this one day I'll use it in my journey here?
Well, we've been taught a whole lot about how to run our affairs here on campus. Especially, we should take our academic studies very serious, taking our religious activities very serious as well. They talk about the student loan. They also talk about the fact that as freshers, we are not supposed to rush ourselves into any relationship yet. We should take time and marry our books and make sure we make the best out of our university life. And adding to that, we were taught that it's not only the book that we are here for, but also to socialize, to connect with one another, and to learn about the universe.
I heard a lot. Yeah, I heard a lot. But for one thing that I can tell, like I can say here, it's the grading system. It's encouraging, and it's a nice school though. Like I've seen people graduated from here. Like some of my teachers, they attended this school. Yeah, so I like everything about it.
The very best thing I learned here was my time management. Yeah, although I'm a type who is very punctual, but then I had additional ideas to help me within my schedules for.
I really enjoyed it. It was very fantastic.
Well, some students also shared with Windy News how they are adapting to the new environment.
So we would like to know your experiences on campus so far as you reported.
Okay, the place is very serene and conducive for learning, and I'm happy and privileged to be here. In fact, this is one of the challenging tasks I have taken upon myself to do, and I'm happy that UEW gave me the privilege to.
It's been fun, it's been nice. I've met new people, I've socialized. Overall, it's good.
It's already begun, and then we've started studies too, so it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
As a fresher, sometimes you find some difficulties. I'm now adjusting to the environment. So far, I'm cool. No pressure, nothing is cool.
This place looks a little bit similar with the experience I had my previous years in the SHS school, because I was a boarding student. Yeah. But the slight difference is just that you are going to be on your own. Unlike SHS, the way we had house masters and other head source authority guiding you through whatever you are supposed to do. This way is not like that. Whether being it good or bad, it's up to you to be able to know your footsteps. Yeah.
So now, away from the university story, the Ochihini Osajifo Amwatio Ferry Penyin has given owners of mining equipment and excavators that are operating along the banks of the Brim River a month's notice to remove their machines from the area or risk having them seized. This order was issued in response to Ghana Water Company Limited investigation that found raw water from the Brim River that was supplied to the Chebi Water Treatment Facility had a significant degree of turbidity. According to a news release from the Achim Abuakwa State Public Affairs Directorate, the Ochihini has directed that all mining equipment be removed from the Brim River immediately after consulting with Achim Abuakwa Traditional Council. State Secretary Mr. D.M. Ufori Atta signed the announcement which stated that task force will be established to implement the instruction and seize mining equipment beginning on February 28, 2025. Now we'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, it's business.
Hey there, welcome to Radio Unibe 98.3 FM. Seated right in front of you is Ampon Besmaku, for short Ampon B. Here we say we are the ultimate in campus radio. I entreat you all to be listening to Radio Unibe 98.3 FM. And your Radio Unibe, forget about it.
Hello, my name is Amina Abisibanan, a media personality at Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM. Kindly follow us on all our social media handles. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on www.uew.edu.gh. We are the ultimate in campus radio.
But from that short breather, now let's do some business. The Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajari, has highlighted the importance of adhering to international standards to enhance Ghana's access to foreign markets. She outlined key measures to boost the nation's economic prospect, including regulating agricultural input and addressing social challenges. Speaking during her vetting before Parliament's Appointment Committee on Wednesday, January 22, Ofosu-Ajari also stressed the Ministry of Food and Agriculture's commitment to ensuring that only approved chemicals are used in agricultural production to safeguard quality and compliance with global standards. Now, still on business, producer price inflation decreased by 0.9 percentage point, reaching 26.1% in December 2024. However, the PPI experienced a month-over-month decline of 1.4% from November to December 2024. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the PPI for the industry sector, excluding the construction sector, dropped from 41.4% in November 2024 to 40.2% in December 2024. Now, staying on these particular stories, I have the Dean of School of Business, Professor Richard Ojo, here at the University of Education, Winneba, joining us via Zoom to provide further insight on these stories. Professor, please, if you can hear me, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you for joining us on Windy News here. Prior to the stories that we just read, what is your opinion on the appointment of Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajari as the Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry?
Well, I had opportunity to listen to her yesterday, and looking at her depth of knowledge in the trade and industry, the trade industry, I think she's up to task. And I was also happy about her commitment to the issues of agribusiness, the issue of introduction of contract farming, the commercial contract farming, to provide input to the industries. I think it is in the right direction, because a lot of farmers produce and they don't know who to sell to. So if what he is saying, the responses that he gave at the vetting is something to go by, I think it is in the right direction. Sure. So I think he's up to task.
Okay. Professor, before that, do you think, was it a surprise to you when you heard of her appointment?
Oh, no. We have followed what she has been doing in Parliament. The issue, the commitment to issue of industry, trade and industry, and the fact that he's so passionate about that sector. Some of us were not so surprised hearing her name being mentioned to be the designate for that industry. Not at all.
Okay, Prof, she made a statement during her vetting that Ghana needs to follow international standards to increase access to foreign markets. What is your take on that statement?
Yes, it's true. In 2020, Ghana had a shock of it, quite a surprise news, where European Union rejected the cocoa that was exported to the international markets with the reason that it was containing heavy metals. So all these point to the fact that there's a need to standardize our agri sector, especially if there could be something like agricultural input regulation, where there's a strict regulation of inputs that will ensure quality and enhance productivity and prevent health and environmental risk. So if the ministry will focus on ensuring that only authorized inputs like chemicals are used for agriculture, that will ensure long-term sustainability. Again, also in terms of trade standards, is also very, very important. There's a need to follow international standards that will ensure that goods that are exported from Ghana, especially agricultural products and industrial products, meet global requirements. Otherwise, you send the product to the world market and it may either not attract the price that you need to attract, or the market may end up rejecting it. So when this is done, it is likely to open access to lucrative foreign markets and strengthen the trade relationship and enhance the country export revenue, which is needed to stabilize our city. But you see, over the period, there have been sometimes we set all these standards, but lack of adherence to these standards has led to rejection of Ghanaian products on the international market. So if the minister designates is pointing out to the fact that there's a need to maintain international standard for our trade and agriculture, it is in the right direction. I'm only praying that this is not only a talk shop, but something that we are going to insist on and then strengthen our institution to make sure that products that are living in Ghana meet international standard. So institutions like the Ghana Standard Board should be strengthened to insist on standardized product that meets international standards so that we can get the value that we aim for.
Before I let you go, what is your opinion on the drop in producer price inflation from 41 to 41.4% in November 2024 to 40.2% in December, as reported by Ghana Statistical Service? How do you think this will affect the economy this year?
Okay, so the statistics you gave me was the PPI for the industry.
Yes, please.
And yes, and for construction, we have about 29.1, if I'm right.
Yes.
And when we hear some of these news, it's a bit refreshing, even though this PPI is still higher. When we say PPI, producer price index, we are looking at the inflation at the supply side. That is the input that the supplier uses in producing its products. How is price, what is the frequency at which prices increases or decreases? That is the producer price inflation. And if it's decreased from 41.4 to 40.2, it is a bit refreshing, but I always say it is still higher. Inflation level of more than 40% is on the higher side, even though the gradual easiness of input costs in this sector is a bit refreshing. Also in the construction sector, a bit of reduction, but you bear with me that issue of construction material is still very expensive, and we're expecting that this reflects on the market again. I heard you mentioning that there is a decline of the month-by-month inflation of 1.4%. This indicates some level of volatility in the inflation trend, but the fact that it's reducing is it signifies a reduced pressure on manufacturers. And that means that the cost that can be passed on to customers for them to pay is a bit of a stable manner. With all this, let me give about 2 or 3 recommendations to the government, combining the questions that you've asked me. For instance, as the minister retreated, there's a need to strengthen the regulatory framework, especially trade standard and agricultural input standard is very, very important. These inflation figures that you mentioned is a way of boosting producer confidence. It is necessary for government to tackle the root cause of volatility in the producer price index by stabilizing energy. The Minister of Energy has been appointed, and we are aware of the charge the government gives to him. There's also the need to ensure a stabilization in the raw material cost. When these are done, I think this will help the producer confidence to be boosted. Let me add up one more. There's also a need to build the capacity of youth in agribusiness. So I was so happy when the government added agribusiness as part of trade and industry. So centers can be established. I think there's even centers that have been established to boost agribusiness. You can talk of the greenhouse village in Dowenya and Bodjase by government that is providing training to young farmers on modern techniques of growing vegetables for exports. And all these efforts align with government goal to ensure Ghana's agricultural competitiveness is in line. And for that matter, government should continue with this capacity building, and that will ensure that Ghana see the economy that it has always yearned to see. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Odro, for having spoken with us here on Windy News. Thank you very, very much. Well, so that was Professor Richard Odro, the Dean of School of Business here at the University of Education, Winneba. We take a short breather. When we come back, it's sports.
Hey there, welcome to Radio Unibe 98.3 FM. Seated right in front of you is Ampon Besmaku, for short Ampon B. Here we say we are the ultimate in campus radio. I entreat you all to be listening to Radio Unibe 98.3 FM. And your Radio Unibe, forget about it.
Hello. My name is Amina Abisibanan, a media personality at Radio Widibe 98.3 FM. Kindly follow us on all our social media handles. You can find us on YouTube.
Hey there, welcome to Radio Widibe 98.3 FM. Seated right in front of you is Ampon Besmaku, for short Ampon B. Here we say we are the ultimate in campus radio. I entreat you all to be listening to Radio Widibe 98.3 FM. And your Radio Widibe, forget about it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the sports segment here on Windy News. My name is Ronaldo. Ghana Swim League returns to the Boteman Sports Complex in Accra as Wales clubs battles it out for honors. Let us join Eminence Onyema, official announcer for the GSL, and also Radio Winnie Bay for more on this story.
The Ghana Swim League Season 3 meets number 3 returns this weekend at the Aquatic Complex in Boteman, where 15 swim clubs across the nation will be heading straight to the Aquatic Complex to battle for breaststroke, backstroke, freestyle, and then talking about butterfly and the mix, and then the medley relay as well. And this is the first time in 2025 where the league is returning this weekend as far as the Ghana Swim League Season 3 happens to be. The likes of Abeku Jackson is expected to be in action. Harry Stacey is missing out, haven't gone out of the country in recent months, and the likes of Neymar can come, the likes of talking about Odumaji will also be in action. So the big question is what will be the outcome of this particular meet, because over 400 athletes across the 15 swim clubs are making their way back to the complex aquatic, known as the Aquatic Complex in Boteman, for the meet number 3 as far as the Ghana Swim League happens to be. So we'll keep you posted here on 98.3 FM.
Well, that's all for sports this afternoon here on Windy News. My name is Ronaldo. Up next, international news.
Now, welcome back from that sports update. Now, let's do to the international arena. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned he will impose high tariffs and further sanctions on Russia if Vladimir Putin fails to end the war in Ukraine. Writing on his social media platform Truth Social, he said that by pushing to settle the war, he was doing Russia and its president a very big favor. Trump had previously said he would negotiate a settlement to Russia's full-scale invasion launched in February 2022 in a single day. Russia has not yet responded to the remarks, but senior officials have said in recent days that there is a small window for opportunity for Moscow to deal with the new U.S. administration. Putin has said repeatedly that he is prepared to negotiate an end to the war, which first began in 2014, but the Ukraine would have to accept the reality of Russian territory gains, which are currently about 20% of its land. He also refuses to allow Ukraine to join NATO. Now and finally, a fast-moving wildfire has erupted in Los Angeles County, forcing thousands of people to evacuate an area already grappling with the most destructive fires in its history. The huge fire ignited early Wednesday morning, about 45 miles, 772 kilometers northwest of Los Angeles, near Castaic Lake in a mountainous region that borders several residential neighborhoods and schools. The fire quickly grew to more than 10,000 acres within hours, fueled by strong winds and dry brush. Fortunately, no homes or businesses have been damaged, and officials are optimistic about containing the blaze. This new fire is located north of the two massive wildfires that have already destroyed several neighborhoods earlier this month. Now, before we end Windy News, a recap of stories that made headlines. President Mahama confirms no deputy ministers for certain ministries to maintain lean government. Education Minister Haruna Idrusu calls for audit for free SHS beneficiary records. University of Education Winneba welcomes first student with orientation program. And in business, Minister designates Elizabeth Ofosu Ajari for trade, agribusiness and industry, calls for bold steps to attract international investors. Now on the foreign front, U.S. President Donald Trump urges Putin to end ridiculous war in Ukraine or face new sanctions. And that will be all for Windy News here at the News Hub in the University of Education, Winneba. My name is Nana Amma Nyamike Bani. Thank you for doing the watching and do enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Hey there, welcome to Radio Unibe 98.3 FM. Seated right in front of you is Ampon Besmaku, for short Ampon B. Here we say we are the ultimate in campus radio. I entreat you all to be listening to Radio Unibe 98.3 FM. And your Radio Unibe, forget about it.
Hello, my name is Amina Abisibanan, a media personality at Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM. Kindly follow us on all our social media handles. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on www.uew.edu.gh. We are the ultimate in campus radio.